Hey guys, welcome back to the DLC podcast where we talk games, movies, and all things in between. I'm Isaac, also known as Hey Ice.
I'm sorry, I'm just cutting in. Like, it's just been so long. I'm glad to be back, man. Like,
We're a little rusty.
bro.
So, we know we're a little late to the news, but it's kind of good that we waited because we let the emotions of the Switch 2 presentation wash over us, and then as smoothly as it washed over us, it was just as aggressive crashing into rocks because some things happened.
Yeah.
So first off, I wanted to do a live review. Reaction to the Switch 2, right? Unfortunately, I was at work during that time. And the last time I did the Nintendo reaction, it wasn't even for the Switch, and I was so sad. That being said, Juice, did you watch the presentation?
I did finally. I took some extra time off to do it, yeah.
Perfect.
To be able to do it.
As did I. So, right off the bat, I'm gonna say it was a great presentation. I got gripes, as many people do, as you can see on the internet. But before we get into those, let me fix this real quick. Before we get into those gripes, let's talk about the good real quick. All right, I'm just gonna do a quick rundown, and you hit me with your good, and then we'll we'll get to it. Right. So first off, new console, great, awesome, bigger screen. It's able to run third-party AAA games pretty decently. Apparently it's up to 120 frames in handheld depending on the game, and it could do 4K 60 on TV, which what I'm assuming a lot of us have been asking for the dock to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And you know, they came in with Street Fighter, which was great, Elden Ring, what is the other one, the Cyberpunk,
Dustblood.
Well, wait. I'll just talk about the main ones that everyone that's already out, right?
Oh, okay. I see.
And so yet those coming out, which it's good to see. I'm curious on what the 4K looks like and like how they're gonna do it. I'm assuming it's they're gonna use what's it called, AI basically. It's not true
Ultimately.
4K. Like it's not true 4K, but it's 4K enough, I guess. But all in all, I thought a lot of stuff was great. New Donkey Kong. We're excited for that.
Yeah. How about say, like, since we're talking about the new and the good, I was like, the new Donkey Kong, I think it's gonna be sick. The Metroid Prime Beyond, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the new Mario Kart, which we'll also be touching on here in a bit. But that's what I took from it, Juice. Anything I missed? Anything that you liked about it?
So I like the fact. Well, I don't think if it's necessarily indicative of the Switch 2, but I did like the Kirby Riders, like the Hyrule Warriors, the Age of Imprisonment.
I like the GameCube.
Like I'm just saying, like they've got at least a lineup coming up, as well as. Well, okay, so as far as the hardware goes, awesome. This is the upgrade everyone's been demanding since the start of Gen 9 for consoles. This is the upgrade for the Switch everybody's been demanding and wanting. So like you said, there's great capabilities, 4K 120 FPS, certain games. It's going to be great, and the fact is they are going to make some type of port for older games to be able to play at the higher resolutions for Switch 2. That is a good and a bad thing. So just on the focus of, okay, cool. So they're already starting on that, That's awesome. So we're not going to like get them revealing it, us playing it, and then 6 months later, like they kind of like Sony kind of did with some of their games, Xbox, and stuff like that. But those would be my good. But I do actually want to turn around now. We can talk about the negative, obviously.
You're right. So first off, real quick. First off, GameCube. GameCube was great. I don't know how I missed that. GameCube was great. Soul Calibur 2. Get the players link again. Let's effing go. All right. Sorry, Juice. Hit it off, baby.
No. Now, so since we're using the good and the bad at the same time, we'll just use that as a pivotal point. But $30? $30 for a...
Oh, whoops.
for an upgrade is what I was understanding. Like, in order for you to play the upgraded version on the Switch 2 of the games that are already out that you might want to play, you're paying essentially half the cost of a new game. That was insane to me. I was like, no, that's a lie. That's a lie. There's no way. There's no way. And what? I mean,
Yeah.
come on. Come
Yeah.
on.
So if you don't mind, I'm gonna start with some negatives because I have a few. So
please.
first off, Mario Kart, an $80 game.
I forgot that we got that official price tag too. It's like, oh my gosh.
That was a shocker. And then, you know, the game visually looks great. I saw some gameplay and there's a bunch of empty space, and you know, as you're driving through the open map. I'm sure they're gonna add stuff to it. I'm sure they're gonna do like, you know, maybe like events or like some holiday stuff to spruce up the area. But as of right now, I think Sonic looks better, to be honest. And I feel like it'll be cheaper. And not only that, right? Not only that, but as you're saying with the upgrades of the games. So if I read what I read was the games. Let's say you never had Tears of the Kingdom, right? Let's say you never had it. When you buy the game for the Switch 2, it's literally just a base game with the patch in it, right? Like it's just one of those things, which is like no duh, Isaac. Of course, I'm just saying that way you don't think you install the game and then you download the patch online. Like it's in the cartridge, you know, like it's there. They are gonna charge for that with all the games that are allowing that. They're gonna charge for it, and I believe some games get it for free. I have to double check on that, but they're very select few. But if you have the expansion subscription, you get them for free. They're included within your subscription, which for me, I'm like, okay, cool. Like I mean, you're on my family plan as well as everyone else, so no one's like, it's whatever.
One fan, one love,
one
fan,
one love, and I'm sure because they're probably gonna increase the price of it, which is fine. It's still cheaper than whatever, right? But I was telling my homeboy, I was like, you know, it's like PlayStation had it up to a point where it was a $10 upgrade. I think the last they had their arm twisted to do it for Horizon Forbidden West, and then after that they're like, that's the last time we're doing that. Like you have to buy the game now. Like correct me if I'm wrong, Juice.
I mean, a little bit like so with Horizon, they pretty much they had made the statements that it would be free upgrades and stuff like that. You know, there should be a free upgrade from PS4, PS5 graphics, and then of course with Forbidden West, it wasn't that way. It caused a lot of tension and content. But and ultimately, like a lot of people, including myself, consider that that's exactly what kind of killed Forbidden West. It's not necessarily a bad game, but all that negative hype around it, you know, didn't really help it. Either way, yeah. But moving forward from that, they made sure in the most disgruntled parent way, like a parent who misspoke to their children, like, okay, fine, you can have the ice cream today, but moving forward, no more ice cream in the house. Like, it was like, oh, okay, Dad, I figured, you know, we would all just do what we were supposed to do. The whole relationship is, y'all don't do hidden charges and go back on your word, and I don't look for emulators. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my reaction, so I'm sorry just going into that. But yeah. So
and
since then, the $10 upgrades was what I expect when it comes to Gen 9, admittedly.
And then the thing is, with Xbox, they had the whole, you buy the game, you get the upgrade for free. That was that was their whole shtick, right? And Nintendo was like, well, let's just fall in between that. Like, you can buy it, but if you have our subscription, we'll give it to you, right? So that one I was not upset about. When I learned that, I'm like, okay, cool. So like the games that are able to do so. That's like, there we go, perfect. And then we got to the pricing, right? Where I went, dude, it's funny because I went to the Treehouse live stream, and dude, it was just spam of drop the price, drop the price, drop the price, drop the price everywhere, because it's $450 for just the game console, and $500 for the bundle, which that's as of right now, time of recording. They kind of put a hold on pre-orders because of tariffs, and they may increase the price of it. But the thing is, here's the thing, dude. Here's the thing that kind of bothered me, and I'm getting flashbacks from this, right? And we're gonna talk about other flashbacks that we're getting from Nintendo from recent comments made. But just right now, do you remember the PS3?
Vividly.
Do you remember the controversy with that console?
For the like the first, well, PS4 was the first one for like online. You'd have to actually pay for PS Plus and stuff like that.
No, I thought the PS3.
No, I don't remember.
The
Yeah, I don't remember.
controversy.
No, I don't remember the PS3. What's up?
It was
when it comes to
$600.
Oh, the price. Oh, yeah, no, but like I guess because now I just accept that anything from Sony is going to be overpriced.
Right.
No offense to them. No offense, and I'm not saying it, but like my thing is that along with a bunch of stuff when it comes to the pricing of their games and stuff makes you just.
Well, here's how I'm tying it together, right? PS2, that highest unit sold console in gaming history, right? Highest unit, yeah.
Yeah.
The Switch blew up, like what? Like it spread like wildfire. People were buying Switches just for the colors, the theme. You know, maybe you had a regular Switch and you went to the OLED. Maybe you had some kids, you gave them the Switch Lite. It was everywhere. People were on the Switch hype train, and even AAA people were like, "Yo, let's double dip. You know, let's release our games on PlayStation, Xbox, and a year later re-release it on the Switch. That way, people could be like, hey, you can take it on the go now." And Nintendo was like, well, we're selling our console for $300 and the Lite for $250 and the OLED for $350. All reasonable prices. The Xbox Series S was a $300 console, which was powerful, but it was a home console, not a handheld. But Nintendo, like Sony at that point, was like, oh, we the kings now. And Nintendo has always been king. Regardless of the PS2 and all, Nintendo has always been king. They just built different. But at the end of the day, when it comes to pricing, you know, it's not that the Nintendo fans aren't willing to spend the money. It's that like people that may not have that money at that time, you know? It was easy to say, yeah, I'll get you a $300 Switch that comes with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Black Friday, the bundle, right? Like, boom, there you go. Get it out. And that's what helped increase their sales. Now you're coming with us with a console that's similar price to the Series X and PS5, though not as strong as those consoles. But of course, you still have the mobile aspect to it, as well as Nintendo exclusives. But when you start showing games that are $80 and then Donkey Kong, no disrespect to Donkey Kong, I love Donkey Kong more. I love Donkey Kong, right? Is that game a $70 game? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I have no idea. Nintendo is so weird when it comes to pricing their games, because they were like, hey, Tears of the Kingdom is a $70 game, and you know it's a case by case basis. And like me, I could. I'm sure if I really wanted, I could get the Switch too, right? I've been blessed, you know, to have the means to do that. I just don't feel like I want to do that, because my thing is, I'm paying $500, and people say, well, you're getting Mario Kart $30 off. Let me show you guys something. Let me show you guys something real quick. Let me show you guys something real quick. Just a little something.
I mean,
what does that tell you about me? I am a physical gamer when it comes to buying games. I make exceptions on games that I buy, strictly non-physical, like digital games, because I do have a PC, I do have Steam, I buy games on Steam that are on sale. But when it comes to particular games, especially Nintendo, because everyone knows Nintendo games do not depreciate in value.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to have physical. And you're telling me, yeah, I could get the game $30 cheaper, but I don't get to hold it, and I don't have it. Like it's stuck to my one Switch. Like, let's say I have another Switch or something, right? And I don't want to have to do the whole transferring and yada yada yada. Like, I understand they showed that you could, like, the digital cartridge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just like, I don't care about that. Like, I want to hold it physically. And yes, and I'm sure, like, well, just buy it physically. Buy the $80 one. I'm like, that game doesn't look worth $80. And the thing is, it took this long to get a new Mario Kart. I'm sure it's gonna take just as long to get the next Mario Kart. Nintendo's gonna get their money back from that game if they sold it at a reasonable price. $80 is a stretch. Now that being said, when the pre-orders reopen, they're gonna sell out. They're gonna sell out because you have the scalpers and you have the enthusiasts. We understand that. But when the hype dies down, are we gonna see the console sales drop drastically, or is it gonna go down a little bit and then remain consistent as long as supply is there to meet the demand?
That's a good question. And like to piggyback off your stuff, really, I was appalled when I saw $80. Like, dude, not even 2 years ago they made the jump into a $70 contender, and they made their statement it was going to be based off a case by case thing. So I was like, okay, at that point we're past the era of $60 games, we're in the $70 era. This is where we are. And not even 2 years later we're talking about $80 games for Nintendo. I was like, it couldn't even be somebody else. It's you. Like, that honestly was kind of a betrayal. It's like, oh, goodness gracious.
Mm-hmm.
But on that same token, I have to agree with you. I don't buy Nintendo games digitally unless it's really the only way. I play Cattails, for instance, and a few other things on Nintendo Switch, but those are not physical games, and they're like $2,
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, everything I own is physical. And there's no reason not to. That being said, am I about to go spend $86, $87 just to get that done? I don't think so. That's just too high of a price, in my opinion. That's just too much, and I understand people are going to have different opinions on it. I talk extensively with people on both sides of that spectrum as far as the cost of games, and we hear arguments from each side, from they're definitely cornering a market to no, it's a fair price, to this is absolutely unfair, everyone's banding together, it's a pseudo monopoly, versus inflation arguments, different things like that. And my thing is, at the end of the day, they are gouging the prices regardless of the talks. Like you said, they could make this a manageable price. This could go down to $50, which ultimately would be reflecting Nintendo PS2 to PS3 prices back in the day. But they could do that and still make a heck of a lot of money. Can you imagine if they would have actually, like, hey, here's the Switch 2. Also, all of our games are going to be $50.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how many people would have flocked to that? Like, you want to talk about what would have actually, like, people would have looked past $450. Like, hold on, you telling me games coming out are now a fair price? I'm sorry, keep going.
They don't have to keep it 50. Like, if they kept it at 60, that's fine. Or if they want to keep it at the new standard 70, that's fine. Right, but Nintendo has a Nintendo. They always have Nintendo. Because another negative is you have a tech demo that you're selling, not included in the console. You're selling a tech demo. Who in their right mind in that meeting was like, you know what we should do with this tech demo? We should sell it.
Oh.
Mind you, PS5 gave away a free game, right? A high quality game. The Wii had Wii Sports.
Mm.
This is a demo that you're selling proudly.
I mean, it's reminiscent of the PS2 days. I don't know if you remember the jam packs from back in the day with the PS2s. and how like when the PS2 first came out, of course it had games, but it was still this evolving time for video games where we were getting out of the norms and we weren't just having weird games where they were actually trying to create franchises and get things out there. And that's where Jam Pack came in, where you could actually go and buy, and you could purchase it. It was cheaper than most things. I had a few of them. Jam Packs, which had just a bunch of demos on it. It's ultimately the disc they would be playing at a Walmart or at a Toys R Us where you could try out the system.
Sometimes
and try
we
out
get it at a CC's.
Yeah,
or Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut.
I was about to say Pizza Hut. Sometimes you would get them from random places, and I thought that was really cool. My thing is, though, we are well past that. Like, that at $450 and $80 games, that should have been all gratis.
Yeah.
Not only that, it should have been gold-plated.
And another thing, too, is the fact that Nintendo is known to not really like to take a loss on their consoles. They like to, at the very least, break even. But I'm like, Nintendo, you have such a grasp on the consumer base. You could have taken a little bit of a loss because your games are going to sell like hotcakes. You're going to make your money back, as you always do. You know, like, there's only so many ways Mario can save Peach, but yet you still find a new way for him to save Peach. You know, it's just one of those, like this is a greedy move. And like I said, you know, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. The market's gonna tell. Remember, I think it was the 3DS that was $250. Did not sell well at all. What did they do? Knocked it down to $160, and then it started selling. Like, think about that, Juice. Think about that. Think about that. $250 for a 3DS back then, where we got to the point where a Nintendo Switch was selling for $300. Like, and the thing is what Doug Bowser said today, or no, today or yesterday, his recent comment when asked about the Switch price.
No, it might have been today.
Might have been today. But he talked about like the pricing of the console and the games, and this is where we go. This is where we go back in time again. My fellow listeners, my fellow Nintendo Switch fans. Do you guys remember the Xbox One? Because I do. I got a midnight release. And Juice, can you remind the audience about the Xbox One and the controversy surrounding that one?
So for the Xbox One, so ultimately we need to note is, like, first let's note the quote. The quote from Doug Bowser was that if Switch 2 seems too pricey, paraphrasing of course, if Switch 2 is too pricey, you can always just buy a Switch. So we just want to get that out there. So what we're referencing, though, is back in the day for Xbox One, it was known that you have to be online all the time. And that was when they started that whole, like, if you're not online once within every 24 hours, you could not play the games offline, you know? And it was just a thing. And when people were like, well, what do you mean? What about people who aren't focused on online? What about the people who don't have internet? You know, like, what do we do with that? To which their response was, hey, we got something for you. We got the Xbox 360. It's called the Xbox 360, fam. You know, and it's like, that did not do well.
Don Matrick destroyed Xbox.
That alone, Xbox. Like, I mean, a lot of people talk about, and heck, even in our groups and people that we've had, even on our stuff, you know, where have brought up, like, you know, man, the 360, fantastic, amazing console. What happened? And you can point out a lot of things to the Xbox One, but that was a reminder, after what Bowser said today, it was a reminder of, actually, honestly, that was most likely the turning point for the Xbox craze, if you will, that whole hype train, that boulder, you know, came to an abrupt halt with the Xbox One. Many reasons for that, let's be fair. The Xbox One was its own failure. It was, within its rights, its own, you know, betrayal. It was its own brute, if you will, to its Caesar.
They went to E3 and advertised it as a TV console. They went to E3
Oh!
for that, you know.
They went to E3 and mused with the idea of fully digital only games, and it's like, oh god, yeah,
DRM baby,
no.
DRM baby.
It's so terrible.
So,
But either way, there's similarities we pulled from that, mind you. And I told you about this a little bit earlier today. I was like, I don't agree with the full comparison because that is definitely two separate issues. This is an issue of elitism, whereas the other one was an issue of we're going this route, but it's okay. We got older stuff for you, you know? Instead of going to the next gen, you can just stay here with your non-internet self. I guess in its own right, its own elitism, you know?
yeah.
But I still say it's a little different, but I feel like it's going to have a similar outcome. Well,
Yeah.
sort of. Continue. Sorry.
No, like I said, like the like out like he said that, and I remember I watched it live, and I was just like, what? like I'm
The
watching
double take. When I read it earlier, it was sent to me, and when I read it, I was like, what? Like, yeah, that little GIF, the whole.
Yeah, dude, like I watched the E3, and then I heard it, like, you know, I watched him say that, and I'm like, but me as an Xbox fan who loved the 360, one of my all-time favorite consoles, I went and got it midnight release, and what sucked about it, not many games came out for it on launch. I remember I bought Dead Rising 3, and I bought Call of Duty Ghosts, right? And what sucked about it is my friends that didn't get the 360 or the Xbox One, because the reason I got the 360 was because I was having issues with this. I was like, okay, I'll just get the Xbox One, and you know, even though like I'll have different games, whatever, I can still talk to my buddies on Xbox Party. And no, you couldn't talk to your friends on Xbox Party if they were on the 360 and you were on the one. Like I remember after I bought it, after the first week, I was just like, I was coping hard. I was like, you know what? No, it's fine. It's fine. They're gonna release some games. Dude, the Xbox One was by far the worst console I've ever owned, and that whole generation was just abysmal. I know Phil Spencer tried to come in and fix it. Games kind of came later. Emphasis on kind of came later. It was a doozy. And the thing is with Nintendo, like I said, they're the kings of gaming. Right? Are they gonna have the same backlash as Xbox did? No, but I will.
That's what I was saying. It was kind of half, and it, like part of it is of course different issues, right? The other part of it is who's really a contender. Like the only thing, you know, with Xbox, when it came to Xbox One to PlayStation 4, you had the PlayStation 4 to go to. They are long-standing rivals within the competitive scene here when it comes to gaming and development and stuff like that, right? And with, let's be fair, Sony usually coming out on top. They're always progressing, making the games, you know? That being said, who is there to contend with Nintendo? Who is a Nintendo?
The only company that was remotely close became a game distributor. You know who that is?
Sega?
Yep. They were the only ones.
I mean, yes, now Sega Atlas, and I mean
Sega put up a decent enough fight. And I know people say, well, the PS1 was pretty awesome, Isaac. You know, the PS1 versus the 64. I'm like, yeah. It was a good, hey, I'm here moment. But they didn't beat Nintendo. they did not beat Nintendo.
You can make an argument that for Nintendo, the contender is going to be PC, and by effect Steam with the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck has been phenomenal. But at the end of the day, though the Steam Deck is phenomenal, not a lot of people are just rushing and biting at the chops to have the Steam Deck.
No, I mean,
because if you're going to do that, you're going to use a. I mean, it's so, yeah, but it's sold a lot, right? But it hasn't sold as much as the Switch, and unfortunately, I could even see the Switch 2 doing better than it. But then, let's be fair, because when I think of the Steam Deck, it's like, man, I'd really like that, but I've already got a Switch, and I've got a laptop. I've got everything I need, you know? So, I can play whatever game I want. So the only real contender would be PC. And
And the Steam
Yeah.
Deck, as of right now, as of February, they've sold around 3.7 to 4 million Steam Decks worldwide, which is a weekend for Nintendo.
Yeah.
So
Like that's the worst part is I could still see these numbers getting absolutely tromped. So I don't think the Steam Deck is a contender. And we were talking a bit about this on the drive home, if you remember, where I was like, really, the only contender here is legally, just staying with the Switch. Illegally, let's be fair, you're most likely going to emulate. You're going to try and find ways to play the games you want to play now. And play it on better setups with mods and different things like that to make it look better, which exists within the communities. The only concern and counter to that is Nintendo, unlike everyone else, does have lawyers that sue, like who look for that,
They got the ninjas.
So golly.
Closing thoughts. There's a lot of good, a lot of bad. Let us know where you guys stand on it. You gonna get it day one? You gonna wait? I was like legit thinking like I'm probably gonna get it day one, and then when I was thinking about it today, I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna wait because I want to wait for the hype to die down and just see what happens, And then the thing is, everyone knows the first, the day one units tend to have issues. So I kind of want to see that too, but I may not wait too long to get it. Like I said, depending on how it goes, but I'm just more curious on seeing how long they support the Switch, because Nintendo, I can see if the Switch 2 numbers aren't where they want it to be, everyone is stuck with the Switch, right? The Switch 2, they're no longer a console and a handheld company. They're just one unit deal. So they could just be like, yeah, Mario Kart World is already a Switch 2 exclusive. We're not seeing good sales right now on the Switch 2, and I see it's not smart, but I can see Nintendo being arrogant enough to be, instead of doing what Xbox or PS, like Sony did with PS4, where they're like, we have so many users still on that console, we're still gonna create games so they could play them, and we can still get in their pockets. I don't see Nintendo doing that. I can see them trying to strong arm the consumer base to moving over to the Switch too. And
again, the difference, and just cut in, but like the difference is, Sony had a competitor, so that's also to make sure they could continue to, they have to continue getting the money, especially during the times of the release of the PS5. With everything going on with COVID and stuff, and there is no contender. I'm sorry. It's like I want to know, because they don't have a contender. I definitely agree with that statement. It's like I could see them strong arming. Hey, by the way, we're shutting down Monster Hunter Rise, servers and Generation servers. But if you go on the Switch 2,
they're there.
You get this bundle deal with them. Yeah, and
like I said, it's gonna be an interesting couple of months. Again with the whole tariffs thing. Nintendo and everyone knows Nintendo is a stubborn old man. You go yell and yell and yell and yell and yell, and they'll just say, "You don't know what you're talking about." Like, look how long it took them to get to HD, right? And look how long it took them to get to 4K. And the thing is, we still don't have a party app to talk to our friends. I mean, they put Discord in the Switch before a party, a voice party thing. They put Discord in there first.
No, I mean, you brought up 4K, you brought up all that good stuff, and let's be fair, the only thing that went quick was the jump to $20, like the $20 jump in 2 years. Like, I'm sorry, I keep coming back to it. I was like, we are not focusing priorities, but again, what is there to focus? I don't think there's going to be someone to contend. So,
not yet.
I'm stuck with it. Not yet.
So that being said, you guys let us know your thoughts. What you guys think? What was your favorite part of the presentation? What do you think about this little drama going on? Are you day oneers? Are you gonna wait and see what's and weather the storm and see what happens? Let us know.
Yeah.
That being said, again, I'm Ice or Isaac.
I'm the one and only Juice Prophet.
Yeah, and we're back to the podcast game, and also we still have our live streams Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So we will see you guys then. But again, make sure to subscribe, ring the notification bell, that way you know when we go live and we upload. So till then, we'll catch you guys later. See ya.